Ladies and gentlemen, dear students, dear members of TUM Junge Akademie, and dear guests. Welcome to our Symposium of TUM Junge Akademie, TUMorrow, Embracing the University of the Future. For those who haven't met us before, my name is Sophia.
I am Philip.
And we have the great pleasure to celebrate this evening together with you.
We too are members of class 2021 that finishes their project time tonight. This means that you will also get to know our projects, which is ElecTUM for Sophia and LETO for me. We are very glad to spend this evening together with our interesting guests, our fellow TUM Junge Akademie, TUM members, and of course you in the audience. We are having a super interesting evening ahead of us. Please be open.
The goal of the symposium is to celebrate people, their achievements, and your ideas. 1.5 years ago, 5 student teams from TUM Junge Akademie set out, motivated, following their vision, and using their creative ideas to get there.
Today, we come to the end of our exciting journey. We will look back and recapitulate where we started and where the turbulent times have took us. Starting from our outcomes, you have just developed future-directed workshop ideas just before. We will get to know all these ideas in our presentations right now.
And at the end, one of them will win our special prize. So with a little luck, your workshop group wins it.
We're also very fortunate to have a special guest with us, which is Professor Dr. Gerhard Müller, the Senior Vice President of Academic and Student Affairs of TUM, and most importantly for us, of course, the Director of TUM Junge Akademie.
We are very much looking forward to his interesting ideas about the university of the future. But overall, let's take this evening as a chance to exchange ideas and learn from each other.
And we start this evening with our 5 project groups. They addressed 5 different topics which build the basis of the university of the future.
We begin with the very heavy topic, climate change. And when we bring that together with the university of the future, the question comes up, how does the core of university, the lectures, have an impact on climate change? That's what our first team, ElecTUM, found out. So let's have a first impression from the introduction video.
Ever wondered if it takes more energy to listen to online lectures or go to university? And how transportation, lecture halls, and video streaming contribute to your personal energy consumption? Well, we have an answer to that.
It's great to have you here.
Great to have you.
Alessia, you prepared a short presentation for all of us to learn more about your project. Let's hear it. The stage is yours.
All right. Hi, thank you everyone for coming. I'm representing here ElecTUM, and we prepared a very short presentation for you to describe what we did and what the results were. So we all know this pandemic, corona pandemic situation changed a lot of the way how we interact with each other, in the way how we teach, and also in the way how we learn. And we started off as Team Climate, so we were very interested to getting to know what is actually more sustainable, on-site lectures or off-site lectures. So we developed a research question based on that, and we actually developed a calculator to come up with an answer to that. There's a lot of criteria that went into this calculator, for example, mobility or household consumption, or devices, lecture halls, as well as the streaming devices. And these were our results. As you can see, transportation, and this also surprised us, was one of the highest that made this the amount of the energy consumption so high, and that is actually up to 2 orders of magnitude higher than we actually thought compared to the rest of the criteria that we analyzed. And that made us think that we maybe should reconsider transportation and the effect that it has. Maybe also there's ways that TUM can encourage building more student housing close to the campus to actually improve that and make a difference for creating more sustainable lectures in the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for this very interesting insight into your project. So now we heard that transportation plays such an important role. What consequences do you draw from this? Should all lectures be held online?
Absolutely not. We actually did a survey, and we noticed also that there's other factors that we have to consider. For example, students' well-being and mental health, which were also quite influenced during the corona pandemic. Therefore, purely online lecture wouldn't necessarily be the solution. Maybe in the future, a hybrid format, or actually a mix between like on-site and off-site lectures, maybe depending also on the situation where students live, could be more resourceful.
Sounds interesting.
In the first part of today evening, we had the workshops just outside. And in these workshops, we created ideas for future use cases of your project. Tell us about your idea. What was the best idea that you had in your workshop?
All right, so we had a very interesting workshop session before that, and thank you everyone for participating. So we actually had it a bit hard to find a good idea, like one of the best ideas, because there were so many good ideas, but we chose one of them, and I'll just read it out for you, right? Yeah. Financial support from TUM for climate-friendly transportation, for example, bikes, e-bikes, and semester ticket, and this idea was from Lea and Mira Jensberger.
Woo!
That sounds great. So we have Joachim over here with our trophy, and there we will collect all the best ideas for now. So on your way down, please put your note in there. Everybody, this was Alessia for Team ElecTUM.
Thank you very much.
When we talk about the university of the future, we talk not only about energy consumption, but especially about the people. Like so many among us here, lots of students at university know procrastination just too well. Let's see what our next team, Proactivation, has done to help us with exactly that.
Project deadlines, too much to do, but you don't know how to get started? Do you also struggle with procrastination? We have the solution. We designed an anti-procrastination course that provides scientific insights and aims to reduce procrastination. You will learn about time management, goal setting, and how to improve your focus. Now look at her. Now she is able to work without getting distracted, to plan her day how she wants to, and she's achieving her goals. Join the program.
Coming on stage for Team Proactivation is Daniel. Please give him a warm welcome.
Great to have you on stage. Daniel, so many of us know procrastination just too well. You prepared a speech about it to present your project. Let's hear it. The stage is yours.
Thank you, Sophia and Philip. Let me quickly introduce you to the team. We are a very interdisciplinary team, coming from various fields of study, and we are also at very different stages of our study. What united us, we all know the struggle of procrastinating and making delaying everyday choices. We conducted a pilot study asking 800 participants, and 75% agreed that they regularly procrastinate. They also agreed that it not only affects academic performance, but also their mental well-being. All those findings were consistent with prior research, so we asked ourselves, how can we tackle procrastination? In the end, we decided to do an online course, because an online course is the best way to teach a metacognitive skill set, to treat procrastination, and we also designed our research question around it, which namely is whether proactivation can decrease procrastination among its participants. The course starts with a pre-survey measuring the status quo. For that we used the pure procrastination scale, which is a scientifically approved scale. Afterwards, the online course they started with the online course, evolving around the 3 topics of understanding procrastination and yourself, time management, and goals and focus. Last, they filled out the post-survey measuring the treatment effect. But were we successful? Yes, we were able to help our 600 participants, to be exact, by 4 points on the pure procrastination scale. Thank you.
So thank you very much. Like we just saw in your results, your course is very effective. So do you have any further findings from your scientific research?
Yes, we also measured the mental well-being, and we're able to increase the mental well-being, but unfortunately not significant enough.
And then what did people think is the most useful method? And of course, what is your personal favorite?
The people thought that daily planning is the most effective one, but for me personally, it's just putting away my phone.
That's a good one. And now the most important question for all of us is, of course, is the course still available?
Yes, it's available for 1 more month.
Great stuff.
So all sign up for it. That's good to know. And now we're coming back to our workshops. What was the best idea that came up during your session?
It was, the best idea was connect course with gamification and to also integrate some kind of social environment.
Great stuff. So you have the honor to put yours as well in the trophy at Joachim on your way down. And then everybody, this was Daniel for team
Proactivation.
Proactivation.
There it is.
Thank you.
So for the University of the Future, it's not only necessary to motivate people, as we just heard from Team Proactivation, but also to collaborate with each other. However, we all know how hard it can be to find the right partner. Not only in love, but also for learning. And that's what Team LETO simplified for us. So let's watch the video.
Let me introduce you to Linus. Linus is a student at the Technical University of Munich, and oftentimes he finds himself lost in the lecture contents. He doesn't know why, but he knows that he wants to talk to somebody about the topics that he didn't understand. But where can he find this person? The answer is LETO. LETO is an online platform to match you with your perfect learning partner. This way, Linus has found his perfect learning partner. Do you want to find your perfect learning partner too? Then join LETO now.
It's Luca. Let's make some noise for him. Great to have you on stage.
Now, LETO sounds like a very, very useful platform. Let's hear more about it.
Yes, as the other groups, I also prepared a presentation here. And our group, LETO, we were asking ourselves, what are the changes that happened because of the COVID-19 pandemic, specifically regarding the lectures and the study environment of students? And what we did is that we conducted a study in order to find out what the biggest change and the biggest challenges of all the students were. And we found out that there are three main aspects that students are struggling with. The first one is that there is poor instruction. The poor instruction is not caused by a lack of competency of lecturers. It's more the change from an on-site to an online environment and the change of tools that is necessary therefore. And the second thing is the lack of interaction that occurs because we don't have the opportunity anymore to talk after a lecture to the professor or to the lecturer, and instead we have to communicate online. And yeah, this is the second thing that we faced. And the third thing are personal deficits. And these personal deficits are, as we've seen it for the last group, in particular, the procrastination and the struggle to start learning online, and maybe also the discipline that is required compared to sitting in the lecture hall to start watching a video or a lecture online and study the contents taught in it. So this is what we did, and in order to solve these problems, we came up with a learning platform, namely LETO, and this platform aims at connecting students and making it possible for them to find their perfect learning partner.
Thank you very much for your presentation, Luca. Now, when I want to look for a learning partner on LETO, how does the matching process ideally work?
Yes, so each participant is filling out a questionnaire, and this questionnaire provides insights into the learning characteristics of people and also the personal characteristics. And based on these characteristics, we find the most similar person for a participant, and the similarity here has the target that these people are more similar in the way that they learn and therefore are more productive when learning together.
Might be a little biased, but sounds like you put a lot of work in that.
And now, secondly, what was the best idea from your workshop?
Yes, the best idea that we had in our workshop, in order to understand that idea, you have to know how the platform works. So everybody is able to fill out the courses that he's participating in, and we had the suggestion to only provide interests, and based on these interests, we have a course selection that applies to the interests of the person, and based on this selection, we can maybe reduce the process of selecting all the courses manually.
Okay, that sounds a very good idea. So please put it down in our trophy over there, and let's see whether your idea will win our prize in the end.
And then everybody, let's give it up for Luca from Team LETO.
Now we move on to something slightly different before our next presentation. Over the last few months and years, we all became aware of the importance of interpersonal relationships. Whether it's learning together, as LETO was just about, working in a team, or spending your free time together. Forming communities is the core of our everyday life.
But how do communities form? By finding similarities. And since we came here together to highlight the University of the Future, let's become a community and find similarities right here among us.
And for that, we are now doing a little sociometric exercise. So please, everyone, get on your feet.
Let's get some energy in here. We need everybody to stand up, please.
We see everyone. We see everyone. Please, just get up.
Rightio. Then we will ask you a few questions now, and the rules are very, very simple. If you answer a question that we ask you with a yes, then please continue standing. And if you answer the question with no, then please sit down.
So to briefly recap, if it's a yes, remain standing. If it's a no, just sit down. So let's start with our first question, which is related to our last project that we heard, LETO. Who prefers learning in a group rather than alone?
So if you prefer learning in a group, please continue standing. And if you prefer learning by yourself, please have a seat.
So please, everyone, have a look around at the other people to know what their preferences are. And as we see, there are a few people among us. For them, LETO might be a good option.
Absolutely. Then everybody, please stand up again. Thank you. And then we will move on to the next question, which looks back at our very innocent youth. Who has ever cheated in an exam?
So if you have cheated in an exam, please remain standing, and if not, please sit down. Let's be honest here, guys.
Are you guys really honest with us here?
Okay, that's very interesting to see who cheated and who not. So please, everyone, get up again. So now let's move on to a heavier topic, a climate-related question. Who believes that we can still meet the 2-degree target?
So if you're convinced that we meet the 2 degrees target, then please remain standing. And if you think we will not meet it, then please sit down.
So I think we don't have so many optimists here, if you look around.
Yeah, that's not too motivating. And I guess there can only be one follow-up question. Who has already flown this year?
I know it's difficult after the last question, but if you have flown this year, please get up. And if not, feel relieved and enjoy your seat.
Looks like we got a lot of travelers here.
Okay, so now please, everyone, up again. Everyone, we see you. Okay, last but not least, to an even more serious question. Because we know we are not angels all the time. Who has ever judged someone too quickly?
If you have, please remain standing. And if you haven't, then take a seat. And I guess you two also stay standing here.
Yes. So if you look around, you see We are not always good, but we are just all the same. So thank you very much for your honesty. And maybe one of these questions will start a conversation later on in the foyer.
They're definitely interesting starting points. Now, directly associated with our last question is the topic of the next team. It is all about breaking down prejudice. And Team Culture wants to do exactly that. So let's watch their introduction.
Shitstorms, insults, polarization, radicalization, hate. The base to all these phenomena is a very strong opinion about another person or a group. And we at Team Culture asked ourselves, how do people form opinions? And can we as a group encourage people to be more reflective in their opinion forming process in order to ultimately reduce radicalization and hate?
And stage 3 for Musa from Team Culture.
Great that you're the ambassador for your team, Musa. I imagine it must have been a very difficult topic to tackle. So we're interested to hear your insights. Stage is yours.
Right. All right, thank you. Hello, everyone, and thank you for the introduction. So let me tell you more about our project. Let me take you on a journey of the mind. And here we have Manuel. And imagine he's your colleague. But the thing is, with Manuel, he never says hi. He always seems to be rather dismissive and unapproachable. I want all of you to ask yourselves the important question of the why. Why is Manuel this way? So let's take a step back here. In science, there's this concept called in-group, out-group bias, which practically means that whenever we perceive someone to be rather different from us, we tend to put a distance between them and us. Even in the terminology. And on the flip side, whenever we share commonalities, we tend to have a higher degree of empathy towards people. And this in-group, out-group thinking can cause social rifts to emerge and widen, ultimately leading to undesired consequences, such as polarization or radicalization. So the aim of our project is to get you thinking, to ponder on how we form our opinions. And for this, we designed a visual campaign consisting of posters like these, telling the stories of everyday people like Manuel. And our aim was to promote multi-perspective thinking and foster empathy. To put our campaign and posters to the test, we conducted an online survey with over 140 participants. What we found out was that our posters did not have the desired impact we had hoped for. And we think this might have been, there might be a reason with the design of our posters, or the fact that it was all conducted online rather. And nevertheless, we are committed to encouraging people to ponder on the process of how they form their opinions. Thank you.
This project is definitely the right one for such polarized times that these are. It's very hard to hear that your project didn't have the desired impact, though. But let me ask one question. Why did you choose posters as a medium to change people's opinion?
That's a great question. Thank you for asking. We had very interesting discussions within the team on this. We were trying to assess which medium to pick. And what we saw was, especially with posters that are very great for prototyping. You can go through many iterations in quick succession. And the wonderful thing is you can take them offline as well by putting them up in the university or in the city as well.
Sounds like a good point.
Yeah, absolutely. So now we're also coming back to our workshops, and we want to hear what was the best idea from your brainstorming session?
Actually, interestingly enough, what I just mentioned, taking things offline, it could be like a flash mob, could be a social experiment online in the streets, because we think that the online format definitely has an impact on the results you get.
Thank you very much. Then you also can put your idea in our trophy over there. And everybody, let's make some noise for Musa, for Team Culture.
Thank you.
Last but not least, we have another super interesting project ahead of us. This project may also be very relevant to all the students here in the Audimax. Without giving any further away, let's watch the introduction video.
Most of you have already written a thesis, so you probably know that they are rather dry and inaccessibly written. And this is the highway straight to the trash can. And deep down in that can, nobody will see your thesis and your brilliant, time-intensive thoughts ever again. CreaThesis wants to change that. We want to present your thesis in a way that is exciting, accessible, well, even to your granny. To achieve that, we let students present aspects of their work in a creative way. So create your own CreaThesis today and let your granny know what exciting things you do.
Joining us from Team CreaThesis is Marlon. Please welcome him on stage. Great to have you.
Thanks for the warm welcome.
Hey, thank you for being with us. So now tell us, how can CreaThesis help your grandmother understand your thesis?
Yeah, thanks for the warm welcome. Great project so far. We're Team CreaThesis, and we're trying to improve science communication by using an abundant natural resource, creativity. So, in order to do that, after successfully writing a thesis, let's say a bachelor's or master's thesis, we encourage students to creatively elaborate on that thesis, and then providing them with a platform to basically show their creative elaboration to a wider spectrum of auditors. With that, we're trying to breach the gap between people from all different kinds of scientific backgrounds. And then, last but not least, we're trying to assess the development of science communication skills. So, the results? Well, even though we weren't able to recruit enough participants to statistically prove our point, we were still bold enough to qualitatively interpret our results. And they were quite surprising to us. Actually, our project had a positive impact on the development of science communication skills, but further research has to be conducted, of course. Maybe, as a little tip for your next project, start with the marketing as early as possible and try to incentivize students. And maybe one last tip, if I may, for your career maybe, being able to communicate is a major key. So instead of building yet another boring PowerPoint like we did, use your imagination, use your creativity, and let the magic happen. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your inspiring ideas. Now, when I want to do a career thesis myself, tell me, what should I do?
Well, it's actually quite easy. Just check our website, the project is still running, and click through our survey, and you're good to go. Get creative.
That's really easy, thanks.
Yes, that sounds very easy. But now coming back to the workshops, what was the best and most creative ideas from your people there?
Many great ideas, really. People were very creative. So basically the idea was to create a wall, a thesis wall, so-called, in our university that displays all the theses of one particular year in a creative and fun way. So we thought that were a great idea.
Thanks a lot for your insights. Then on your way down, also please put it in the trophy with Joachim.
And please, everyone, give a big round of applause for Marlon.
Thank you so much.
We just heard 5 inspiring ideas which you, the audience, have actually created about the university of the future. Now it is time to hear another perspective, one from a long-year university insider. And who could be a better fit for this than the TUM Senior Vice President for Academic and Student Affairs, Professor Dr. Gerhard Müller. Please, everyone, give a big round of applause for Professor Dr. Gerhard Müller. Great to have you on stage.
So thank you very much for being here with us tonight. We actually have had planned another talk with another guest speaker, Professor Thomas Birner. However, he got a COVID infection yesterday, so we had to shuffle plans a bit, and Professor Müller gladly told us that he could jump in, so that we have now our inspiring talk about the University of the Future. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad to be here, and a warm welcome to everybody in the room. Thank you very much for inviting me. And for your spontaneity today. Yeah.
Of course, it was a short night for today. Then for the University of the Future, that is a topic that you're very familiar with from your professional background and also your daily business. So in preparation for today, we asked you to bring an animated picture and to answer the question, what is the best and most innovative idea that you've heard about the University of the Future in the last 3 months?
So let's have a look at the animated picture, and what does this stand for?
Well, this picture stands for the concept, the idea that our students, once they graduate, on one hand side, have a very well-founded knowledge in their own discipline, but on the other hand side, they have benefited from the time here at the TUM to create links to other disciplines, because we are very much convinced that solving the challenges of humanity, and our students, once they go out into the world, they will solve and they will work on the challenges of humanity, and there are numerous challenges which we, older people, left to you, and you have to work on them. So in order to cope with those challenges, they have to do a better job in linking the various disciplines in order to understand from each other where are the bottlenecks, where are the foot traps, etc., in order to solve the issues. So you can be sure that, and you know, that you have quite a number of challenges left from our generation, and our duty now is to provide you with the knowledge, the interactions with the other disciplines in order to solve them. That's the mission we have, and well, the issue now is to find ways to prepare the university to do the best job here.
Thank you for that very inspiring words. Let's stay on the topic of connecting students from different disciplines with each other. You clearly stated the benefit, but to achieve that, what has to come from us, the students? Do we have to change?
Yes, you definitely have to change somehow, but not you as students. I think, mankind has to change somehow to be more curious about other disciplines. I think it was quite nice to hear from your projects now. On one hand side, LETO, which of course is a very good approach in order to obtain the depth in the disciplinary knowledge and the competencies, which is of course important. But I think after being together with your groups from LETO, you should go to the Mensa and work. I have to look the group CreaThesis, yeah, who actually is there to explain what they are doing and provide you with an insight into other disciplines. And you also had a nice approach with the group culture. I loved the statement in-group, out-of-group thinking. So you have to overcome, well, the comfort actually to be together with your friends of your discipline, and you should have the curiosity for other disciplines. And there are numerous opportunities in the university to do that. Why don't you go in the Mensa just to another person and just ask, well, what's your concerns? What are your issues you're working on? And try to understand this. I think one has to overcome quite a bit. Culture, CreaThesis provides you something there. I think you chose the right topics, but I think you really have to keep an eye onto this. And I think actually you have to be aware that in order to enter another discipline, you have to leave kind of a comfort zone. In my own discipline, in civil engineering, we feel very comfortable with numerical models and simulations, etc., mechanics. But once we want to, for example, to defend the building of a railway station in Stuttgart, we then say, who can help us? And then we ask Heiner Geisler, a politician, could you come from your retirement, please, and communicate to the people? And I think we really have to be aware that we should be able to leave our comfort zones in order to solve our problems, because building a railway station is an engineering problem which is more inclusive actually than just making the simulations and bringing the concrete and casting it at the site. We have our colleague, I would like to thank the supervisors and the mentors very much here, but we have our colleague Professor Magel among us, who is for me the kind of the, here he is, kind of the, excuse me if I say it like that, the prototype of an engineer who managed in his professional life to bridge those, let's say, those worlds, to merge those worlds, and a large part, excuse me if I say it like that, of his personal success was linked to the communication and merging skills, like in this picture, merging disciplines.
That's definitely a lot to take with us, but I think that the message also to step out of our comfort zones is definitely something we can work on every day.
I would like to add one last thing, what you also should keep in mind. You should try to identify your strengths and weaknesses, and identify also the things where it's probably not even worthwhile to train. Well, I, for example, I never was a good football player, even though I would have loved to play football, but at a given time I said, okay, I won't do this to such an extent, I better go by bicycle or hike on the mountains. I think it's good to admit also where are the strengths and where are the weaknesses, and therefore I liked very much your procrastination team also, who tried to identify, well, where are my individual bottlenecks, etc. And so I think you also should keep an eye on that. Sorry for talking so much about those issues.
I think it's very, very interesting to hear your opinion about that.
And also very much fits into our next question, because now we've talked about connecting students among each other. And the next thing we would like to ask you about is actually about bringing students outside their own curriculum together in joint courses. Interdisciplinary courses are very widespread in the US, but also in many other countries. So what is your opinion on this?
Well, I think, as a matter of fact, I think there are in every study program, there should be more space than we have currently for interdisciplinary approaches. This is the reason why we at the TUM now try to promote this idea of those project weeks, where we say, okay, we will have 1 week in, hopefully, on the long run in each semester, where we bring different groups together, where we can also bridge the distances between Heilbronn and Straubing and Munich, Garching, Weinstefan, etc. In order to do such issues. Of course, we won't be able, let's say, in a general sense, to define exactly what should be done. But we want to encourage the professors to use this space for more interdisciplinary formats. And I'm very convinced that in every discipline, since our students later as graduates have to work in an interdisciplinary way, that in every competence profile we try to develop in our study programs, will benefit from these approaches. And I also think that when organizing the study courses, this can be done properly. And there is another issue. I come back to the individual student. I think you should, as I said, identify your talents and your interests, where you want to have the links. If you look at this picture here on the screen, if you are such a blue Lego piece, for example, coming from some discipline, you will probably later decide: will I connect better to business administration, to management, or will I probably be, honestly speaking, without any negative connotation, am I more an introverted person who loves to be concentrated and to work on developing a new artificial intelligence tool, which both we need. And the person who is probably just liking to communicate and jumping around probably will not be able to have this concentration. So you should identify this. And in order to do this, we would like to offer you also extracurricular courses, which are the so-called plug-in modules, where you get an insight into other disciplines, where you can catch the flavor of another discipline in a serious way, and actually then decide whether you want to create a red or a yellow or a green link to other groups. And I think this is very important, and this has to be done in an extracurricular way also. Probably the things are so strong that the professors decide to put them in the curriculum, but we would start with an extracurricular approach, and then actually we think that we will create the network of talents where every talent can find him or herself. And one last remark, you should not be with the attitude as a student to say, well, the professors, they organize everything for me, and I just have to do what they tell me, and then I will be the perfect doctor or chemist or engineer or whatever. Yeah. So you should identify that, and you should, right from the start, step in the attitude of curiosity and lifelong learning. And lifelong learning also in your profession means that on top of your obligations, you enjoy the formats that satisfy your curiosity. And this is the concept of those plug-in modules, and I would like to encourage you to do that also. And those formats we try to establish, and for this I think we are quite modern at TUM. There has been a recent report of the Wissenschaftsrat, of the Advisory Board for Science of Germany, and actually what you read there, you could say, well, there are a lot of issues there which are in our teaching constitution, which we established in 2018, so 4 years ago. Yeah.
Okay, that sounds very interesting. So, and I think a lot of things that we, the students, have to or should think about and consider taking those plug-in modules if you study here at the TUM. And you talked a lot about interdisciplinary formats. And here at the TUM Junge Akademie, we have a quite interdisciplinary format. And can you see this as a blueprint for how we can work together and research and to deal with problems on a larger scale, maybe problems you just mentioned before?
I think so. I'm very convinced about the TUM Junge Akademie in that sense. And it is definitely, I can say it has been a blueprint already. We have launched, President Macron from France, he launched the idea of the European University Initiative, which is an idea of universities going together with modern formats for education, principally. And we were successful, and under the lead of TUM right now, there is an approach which is called Eurotech, written with Euro and TEQ at the end, where we work together with the École Polytechnique in France, with TU Eindhoven, with DTU in Copenhagen, with Taltech in Tallinn and CTU in Prague and TUM, and also with some affiliation, Technion in Haifa and EPFL in Lausanne, and where we established a teaching concept on one hand side, those extracurricular issues like plug-in modules I expressed on a joint Europe-wide course catalog where the students can participate at the other universities. And on the other hand side, we have exactly what you do here, and there TUM Junge Akademie was the inspiration. It's called the Eurotech Collider. This is a format where students, stakeholders from practice, they express, let's say, a field of interest where they would like to work. Then this field of interest is kind of framed, like we do in Junge Akademie, in kind of a call. The latest call was Leave No Waste Behind. And then at the different locations, students start to work on projects there. And then at the end, they bring it also together in kind of a techathon. They are supported, like here, by experts, like your supervisors and mentors. And the most interesting thing there is how the issue is interpreted in Paris, in Prague, in Tallinn, in Eindhoven, in Copenhagen, or in Munich, because actually you get an insight into the specificities of the individual ecosystems, individual cultural backgrounds, which is really something which I wouldn't have expected I wouldn't have expected the quality of insight you obtain. And this insight also enables us, we have an accompanying research there, to understand better, everybody says European culture, European values. And if you ask them, what are exactly European values? What is European culture? Then they start to say kind of something, but not so well structured, and that we can establish a common sense of where we are, and also understand the strengths and probably also the weaknesses of the individual locations. So this is extremely interesting, and this was inspired by TUM Junge Akademie. The idea was brought in by us. So actually, thank you, Junge Akademie, for that.
Well, thank you for being the director of it.
No.
I guess that's just a little too early, because I think Sophia has prepared one very last question.
Yes, so now we heard so many inspiring things that TUM does and alliances that are built. What do you say? Is TUM already a university of the future?
Yes, of course. Yeah, of course. What a question, actually. Yeah.
What else could it be?
What else could it be? But of course, we have. But remaining a university of the future requires efforts. And if you, I took this postcard, wer früher bremst, verschwendet Potenzial. I would even add, who decelerates earlier, he loses potential. I would even say, you immediately, if you stop making efforts to promote, and if you stop to continuously rethink your issues, then you won't be successful, and you will fall back immediately. Yeah, I said in 2018 we expressed our teaching agenda. Yeah. There it was kind of, I would say, really kind of revolutionary. Now the Wissenschaftsrat also expressed the same ideas. So now it's common sense. So actually you have to keep the pace, and one very, very important issue is that you have to be continuously aware, and therefore also I like these statements of culture. You have to be continuously aware in which paradigms, in which limitations, on which tracks you think. And I think we have to be, in my discipline I can say it, I already addressed it with this railway station example. We have to be aware that a lot of sorting of our knowledge in disciplines, but what do we do in universities? We sort the knowledge we have, we arrange it, and we put it in disciplines, let's say not in silos. Silos would be a bad expression, but in some organization, in order to be optimal in transferring it to society. And we have to continuously rethink the paradigms we have. And the paradigm of engineering education was, let's sort engineering according to machines, infrastructure, electrical devices. So we had civil engineering, mechanical engineering, etc. And I would say that we at our universities, in order to be really very giving the pace and being at the front, we have to rethink and be courageous enough to discuss actually how to organize ourselves. Okay, now I see very politely I talk. Okay, very good.
Professor Miller, I see. Now, we could definitely start building the University of the Future with you. Okay. Thank you very much for your inspiring ideas. These were fantastic insights. Thank you very much.
I would like to thank you, and thank you for listening. And
maybe we can just continue this discussion later in the foyer, but now we could come from your ideas back to the ideas that you, our audience, created in our workshops. And now we jump directly to our final part that you're all very excited about. I know you're excited about it. Our final prize draw. So, and to decide or to get the idea that wins our special prize, we need one person, the master of luck. And who could that be in our case? Then Professor Müller, the director of TUM Junge Akademie. So, yeah, let's see which idea wins.
And then, of course, we also need our 5 best ideas. So, Joachim, could you please bring them up? Great to have you on stage. You can join me right next to Professor Müller.
So, thank you very much. So now, Professor Müller has the honor.
Channel fate for us, and we look forward to seeing which is the winning team of tonight.
Okay, the best idea from brainstorming, which we select. Of course, there are 5 best ideas, I suppose.
There are.
The idea is you don't want to read through all of the descriptions of selective courses. And there is a solution. I also read the solution.
Yes, definitely.
The solution is questionnaire asking for interests and skills to propose selectives afterwards. That is the idea.
So, from which team was it?
Which team was that? What do you think? Well, this was Team LETO.
And can you please read out the name of the winner?
And the presenter was Luca. And the person who had the idea was Seong Min. And,
please, both of you, we would love to have you on stage.
Please just join us on stage for a short bit.
And I think this is a very nice solution. So I should give a comment on that?
Yeah, if you like, please.
So I think you have, especially for interests and skills, to propose selectives afterwards. I think it would be very good if you would assess your personal skills. On one hand side, you obtained, and I also would be interested in understanding, well, what were your interests when you entered the course, and what remained from your interests? Were they kind of lowered down, or were they boosted and encouraged and fertilized by enthusiasm that you will continue? I don't know. I think that would be quite interesting to hear from you.
Yeah. So the idea was that the students need a lot of time to select courses, for example, seminars or elective courses. I think I spent 5 hours of time to just select my seminar and to talk to other people on what they would select and which seminars are recommended. So my idea was to use the platform that LETO provided with the questionnaire and the matching system, and use it to give it tools to students to reduce time on choosing courses by answering a questionnaire, so you can give your interests and skills to just give you preferences on which seminar might interest you the most.
Thank you very much for your insights. Everybody, please give it up for our winner. And then, of course, do you want to know what the prize is? I have it right here, hidden all the time. Professor Müller, could you please read it out for us?
Well, the prize is, well, first of all, it says, congratulations. We invite you and your workshop team for a planetarium show at the ESO Supernova Planetarium with drinks afterwards. And there is a description of this planetarium, which is in Garching, near to Munich. I really would congratulate you to this, because this is really worthwhile to be visited and have fun with your team. And congratulations again. But I also would like to say, I didn't make a selection. I made kind of a blind selection. I even went down very deep into the bowl. So congratulations, and you have 5 very nice proposals today. And well, you were lucky now. With your team.
Let's give it up. And of course, the entire workshop team can join.
Yes, thank you very much. So the whole workshop group of Team LETO can make this tour together. I hope you all connected, kind of. And yeah, congratulations again. Thank you for joining us here.
Everybody, this was Professor Müller. Can you say your name again?
Song Min.
Song Min and Luca. Thank you very much for staying on stage.
I didn't congratulate you. Also, congratulations.
And of course, feel free to connect with all 3 of them just right in a few moments outside in the Audimax foyer.
And this brings us to the end of our main part for tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear TUM members and dear guests, this is it. This was the TUM Junge Akademie Symposium, TUMorrow embracing the University of the Future.
We hope you enjoyed our workshops and the presentations. Thank you very much for joining us. Give yourself a big round of applause.
Thank you for the energy.
Thank you for our technical directors right over there and all the helping hands.
Thank you to our dear guests.
Thank you to our long-year partner Pixida.
And of course for Peter Finger and the TUM office.
Thank you to all the teams and all their very hard work.
And give it up for the Task Force Symposium.
And thank you for you. That was TUMorrow, the Symposium.
We see you in a minute outside with drinks and food.
Thank you.